FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And guys, let's go ahead and jump right into the charts. And I want to show you guys some trades that we took over the past couple of weeks. And we're going to focus in on Euro AUD. Euro AUD's been a pretty good pair to trade so far for me the last few weeks. And so let me show you some of the trade setups that I took, why I took them, entry points and all that good stuff. And let's go through the process here of taking some of these trades that I took and why I took them. All right, so without further ado guys, let's jump right into the charts here. So we're looking at Euro AUD on the 1 hour. Let's go ahead and turn on a couple things right now so I can show you what the logic is behind the trading that I've been doing for the past couple weeks. All right, so if we turn some of the stuff on, we can see that we're coming off of a peak formation low after a reset. So we know that we have a peak formation low here, so our bias essentially would be to just look for buys. So that's the only thing that I'm looking for are buy options. I don't care if there's a setup to sell. I'm only wanting to look for buys. That's it. So as long as that requirement is met, I can start, to look for setups. So the first setups, if we go down to a 15-minute time frame and we start to turn on our indicators that we use. So the first setup came on a Friday. Now the peak formation low was created on Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Right? We didn't get a setup that I would like to take until Friday. All right, so let's take a look at that setup here. So we're looking for buy setups, okay? And what do we end up getting here out of London? We get, basically it's a type 3, pretty good type 3, but again, we're looking for buys, not sells. So we get a sell, first leg is here, and then going into the US session, you could see that we dig down, market makers dig down essentially to get more liquidity, and basically they tag the previous day's low, right? Now if we start to move over here, this is not the first time they tag this. They actually tag this on Tuesday as well. And you can see if we put just a quick line here, you could see that there is structure on a 15-minute time frame right here, and you can see the rejection. Okay, so that's a good area of structure. So we're going essentially right back into structure. So that's one thing that I'm looking for that helps me confirm that this is a good setup. All right, another thing that we're looking at is, okay, we have the structure there, which is great. We have the directional bias, also great. So now the question becomes, what is the setup? Well, the setup here would be a type 1, and you can see we have a first leg in London, second leg on a liquidity grab for the opening of the US session. And you can see clearly we have way more than 5 candles between the first and second leg. So we have a type 1 pattern, basically a reversal, New York reversal trade. All right, the entry itself is we need to get confirmation that this is a good trade. If we start taking a look at the TDI here, you can see we're well in the actual buy area, buy zone on the TDI, which is great. So that helps us confirm that we're in the right area. And we also actually get some divergence as well, because you could see from the first leg to the second leg compared to the first and second leg of the actual price action. So this is going down, and then this is kind of staying even, almost going up. So we get some divergence there as well. So that's all good that we have that. That's some good confirmation there. So we have the pattern. We have the TDI confirming here for us. And then now we actually end up getting here, as far as the entry goes, we end up getting one of my favorite patterns, the Star God Mode pattern right here. We have a big bar down, 2 doji candles, and a big fat bar back up. The pullback candle, the very next candle, that pullback candle is your entry, and boom. You're only trying to take it to the 200 because that gives you 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio. The EMAs are in your favor, right? So you can use them as take profits. So the first target is a 200. Anything after that is a gift. And this ended up actually going up to the 800, which gave you 60 pips. Okay, so almost a 4-to-1 risk-to-reward ratio on that trade. All right. So how many forms of confirmations do we have here on this particular trade setup? We have number 1, directional bias. Number 2, we can pin this back to structure, previous structure. Okay. Number 3, we obviously have the pattern itself. Number 4, we have the TDI. 5, we have a second leg pattern, which is this one here. 6, we get a pullback. We have the EMAs in our favor. I mean, there's multiple forms of confirmation, at least 5 or 6, right? And so that's what I look for, is to have these forms, these multiple forms of confirmation, 5 or 6 forms of confirmation, because if I can get all of these forms of confirmation, the likelihood of me winning this trade is hugely in my favor. All right, so that was the first trade there. So the next trade here was actually on a Thursday, and same thing. We're looking for buys. Right? What do we have? We have basically what looks to be, if we put it in replay mode here, what looks to be a type 2 pattern, because we're really at the bottom of the Asian range. But what do we have here? We have the first leg here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th candle gives us the big false liquidity grab here. That's also pinning to the 800. So there's your pattern, a type 2 pattern. More than 5 candles in between the first and second leg. TDI is also right at the bottom where we want it to be. And we get a nice bull candle out. We get the pullback. The pullback is where the entry is. Because we just had this liquidity grab, we actually don't need to put the stop loss all the way underneath it, because this was the candle that basically went after all of the orders that are below that 800 EMA. Okay, so we don't need to do that. So instead of being 21 pip risk, we actually only do about 11 pip risk on this trade. So again, we're not using the EMAs here because EMAs are going straight through price. So we're just aiming to get 2-to-1, which is essentially about 30 pips, and it's basically the middle of the range. Anything after that, we can follow it by following the 5 EMA. So in this case, we ended up getting on this particular trade, it was about 58 pips, 59 pips, because we got taken out on this retracement here back when we crossed over the 5. Okay. So again, multiple forms of confirmation, at least 5 or more. We have the pattern, we're in the right timing. We have the TDI, where the directional bias is correct. We can look at structure as well on this. If we look right here, we can literally draw a freaking line and look, what do we have? We have structure, right? We have a rejection here, there's a rejection there, and then we have multiple rejections here. So this is our structure right there. Do you see that? So we have multiple forms of confirmation. I can't stress that enough, guys. Multiple forms of confirmation. All right, so that was that specific trade there. So here's the very next day trade. Same thing, we'll put it into replay mode real quick so we can see everything that's happening. So in this case here, what do we have? We're still looking for buys, right? We basically have a retracement, and we have a retracement that creates, or helps create, a type 1 setup. Okay, we're basically we're almost pinning to the 800 here. We're not quite there, but we're almost pinning to it. But you can see that we have, here is the building out of the first leg here, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles between the first and second leg. The same thing, the same pattern. Big fat candle, 2 dojis, and then a big engulfing candle to follow it. Same thing, a big pullback right after that. That's your entry. Okay, and then we also have the TDI help confirming. So same exact thing. The only thing that we really don't have here really is kind of the structure play. But if you really look, you have, if this is going back to previous structure of the previous day during the Asian session, right? And you can even pull this back even further, back over here. Okay, so you still have well over 5 confirmations on this. And so same thing, you don't have the EMAs to use in your favor because obviously it's right there. That wouldn't make any sense. So really, what's the next target after if you can't use the EMAs? Well, then you're going to use basically the structure of the Asian high low and then also the middle of the Asian range. All right, so all these things could be targets. So this Asian low could be a target. The middle of the Asian range could be another target. The high of the Asian range, and then obviously yesterday's high could be the next target. Okay. So this one in particularly, all I'm looking for is over 2 to 1. I'm happy with. So in this case, this particular trade setup, I ended up getting just 30 pips because that's all I really look for on the setups. Okay, I tried to follow this as high up as I could, but on this candle here, this backwards reversal candle took me out of the actual trade. So it was about 30 pips or so that we got from this particular trade. All right, but again, the important thing about having multiple forms of confirmation going with your directional bias, it's huge. And then let's take a look at the last trade. The last trade actually happened today. Same thing. Okay, same thing. Still looking for buys, right? Because we're still off of, we haven't created a new peak formation high yet. We're still working off the peak formation low. And we get same thing here. We have a type 2 pattern that's pinning to the 800 EMA, so that's an extra form of confirmation there. We have it going back to back over to the 800, and then we ended up getting a type 2 pattern. This is the first leg right here. This big red candle forms the first leg, and then you can see we have well over 5 candles. And I think the most important thing here is if you take a look at these spikes here. These spikes are what market makers are doing to grab as much liquidity as possible. Because remember, if you look at this, if we go back and look at this right here, there's going to be a lot of traders that are thinking this is the top and then we're going back down again like this. Okay? So those liquidity grabs that you see on the chart, basically those pin bars that you see, is market makers grabbing liquidity, grabbing liquidity, grabbing liquidity. And so that right there is our indication that yes, here is where they're grabbing. So we know the behavior. We know the behavior. Okay. So this blue candle confirms a second leg finish of a railroad track, and then boom, it's gone. Okay. On this particular trade, since we actually had the EMAs in our favor, we're going back up to the 200 EMA, basically the middle of the range. That gives us our 30 pips, 2 to 1 risk to reward ratio. Anything after that is a gift, and essentially we can just follow the 5 EMA. And so on this particular trade, it was well over about 68, 69 pips because this candle took us out. We have a total of how many trades? I think 4 trades. Yeah, four trades over a 2 week, 4 trades, all wins, all very good setups, all multiple forms of confirmation, which is the most important thing, is to have multiple forms of confirmation. I'm not sitting there guessing. I'm not sitting there wishing I could have, taken this trade down or this trade up. Like I don't care about any of that. The only thing that I care about are the setups that I want. When they appear, I take the trade. When they don't appear, I don't take the trade. It's very simple. All right. So I hope that this video is showing you the entries, exits, the reasons why I'm getting into trades and things of that nature, help you along your own trading journey as well. If you guys need any help with any of this stuff, especially resets, peak formations and stuff, check out FXN Plus. We go through all this stuff on FXN Plus. We have the group sessions every Sunday that we talk about. So hopefully we can see you guys in one of those sessions. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great rest of your trading week, guys.